What is an ADU grant? How does it work? How do homeowners tap into that money?
State of California does, they did, I should say, have $100 million to give grants of up to $40,000 to homeowners, primary residents, in order to build these ADUs.
What is that process to apply?
Yeah, it depends on the county that you live in. You cannot make over a certain amount of money.
Do you have to pay the money back?
Not at all.
On the grant. Not
at all. The $40,000 also goes into this managed escrow account, and that is for any of the pre-development costs.
Are you obligated to do the renovation loan? Are you obligated to do a refinance, or can you self-fund if you wanted to as well too?
You can definitely self-fund if you have the money to do it. You still have to go through HPP Cares, because what they do is they take your money and they deposit it into a managed escrow account.
Hi, everybody. Jose Luis Morales here. Welcome back to another episode of the Residual Real Estate Agent Show. Today, we've got a very special guest. Her name is Kathy. She is a mortgage originator / sales manager with Homebridge Financial. And today, after much request, she's going to be talking to us about the ADU grant that is available for homeowners in California. Yes, I said it. There is about $100 million set aside for ADU grants, and Kathy is the expert in that, and she's going to be explaining that process to us. Welcome to the show, Kathy. How are you?
Thank you. I appreciate it. Very well.
Good. So for our viewers who don't know who you are, who is Kathy, and how did you get involved in this wonderful world of mortgage originations?
Well, that's kind of a convoluted question. I actually used to be a registered nurse, and I was working with a friend of mine that went into loans, and I kind of followed her, and it's been 20 plus years now. I've been working with the same organization, same people. I have a team of 5 of very seasoned loan officers. So we've got combined experience of over 90 years.
That's so awesome. Good for you.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now, the topic that everyone's been waiting for, including myself, because I don't really know much about this topic. I just know that it's a good program and that it could help our viewers. So you mentioned to me off camera that the state of California had $100 million set aside for ADU grants. What is an ADU grant? How does it work? How do homeowners tap into that money?
An ADU, well, first off, an ADU is an accessory dwelling unit, and it can be, depending on your county, between 1,000 to 1,200 square feet for it still to be considered an ADU. You could either build another freestanding structure with what they call stick built, where you, from the ground up, from the foundation up, or many contractors now are turning into manufactured home kinds, like small homes, that sort of thing. And then a lot of people also want to renovate an existing garage, an existing shed, something that they have like that, in order to build rental income. Or I would say probably 25% of the people are also doing that for a family to come and live with, because we're having so many more blended families. State of California does, they did, I should say, have $100 million to give grants of up to $40,000 to homeowners, primary residents, in order to build these ADUs. They cover the pre-development cost, which is almost anything over and above the actual construction of the home. Let's say plans, permits, architectural fees, school impact fees, anything like that. And then if you do a renovation loan, they also will cover the closing costs. So almost anything that you need over and above the construction of the home.
They basically give you up to $40,000. So what it sounds like, it's everything up for the ADU grant in particular, it's everything until you get the building permits ready to basically build on it for the up to $40,000 basically. Now, how does someone apply for that? Does that get tacked on as do you have to refinance in order to do that? Do you have to, does it get added as a second loan? Is there a repayment process that you have to pay this money back? Or is it, I hate to say free money, but is it basically like almost like free?
Free money. It's not free money.
Foo.
I should say there's no repayment necessary, but the client does get a 1099 at the end of the year. So there may be some taxation there. I would certainly consult your CPA about that. That would be the only cost involved. Most folks do use the full 40,000. I just had a fellow close in Sacramento in Northern California, and he built a very modest place. He needed about $200,000, and he used all 40,000. You can refinance your first mortgage and get a full renovation loan. And the renovation loan pays for all of the construction of the property. We have a wonderful concierge team that also helps clients interface between contractors, architects, city planners, that sort of stuff, and help keep the client on track if they're going to do a full refinance. There's benefits and drawbacks to every kind of program that somebody might choose. People sometimes have their own money or can get some gift money, but if you're not independently wealthy and you don't have a rich aunt, then you're going to need to finance it one way or the other.
Yeah.
And one of them being a refinance. CalHFa, who is the organization that has come out with the grant, they've changed the rules a number of times, but their most recent rule is that if you have your own money, no matter how you got it, if you had already done a cash out refinance on your home, you just have the cash to work with, or you get an equity line, that they will give you the $40,000, but you have to work with their organization. That organization is called hppcares.org, and you apply that way. I do have a phone call scheduled with them 30 minutes after our taping. And what we've come up with is there's going to be about 5 loan officers in California that will pair with HPP Cares and allow the financing to move forward with us.
Okay. So basically, it's a couple different programs. One of them is the ADU grant that will help you get the permits approved, meaning architect, building permits, closing costs. And then if you want, you have the option of either getting a renovation loan, self-funding, or even getting a home equity line of credit if they basically wanted to. My question is, Are you obligated to do the renovation loan? Are you obligated to do a refinance, or can you self-fund if you wanted to as well too?
You can definitely self-fund if you have the money to do it. You still have to go through HPP Cares, because what they do is they take your money and they deposit it into a managed escrow account. And that managed escrow account deals with the draws for the contractors later on down the road. And it's all a protection to the consumer. They want to make sure that somebody doesn't pay a contractor the full amount and then the contractor runs off with the funds.
Yeah. And the reason I'm asking that is I'm aware that some of our viewers may have a 2.5% interest. And for those viewers, they may say, well, I don't want to refinance my property, even though it's a renovation loan, because if I do refinance, my entire mortgage balance is going to increase to whatever market rates are, 5, 6, 7%, whatever they are. So what some homeowners are doing, and this is a strategy, they get the grant, they get the 40K, they get all their permits, plans to get ready for construction. Once they get the construction, they get a home equity line of credit, which means you still get you still keep your 2.5% interest rate on the first loan. And then you only pay a higher interest on that home equity line of credit, which some people are using the proceeds from the ADU to help pay for that. Some people, what Kathy said, is they come back to her in a couple years, say, hey, look, everything's already stabilized. Let's refinance the property, assuming that interest rates are a little bit better than they are right now. But that's the reason I wanted to ask that. Now, what is that process to apply? Like, meaning for HPP Cares, does everybody qualify as long as you're an owner occupied? Do you have to make a certain amount of money? Do they care how you're going to fund and build the ADU, or what is that process like?
Yeah, it depends on the county that you live in. You cannot make over a certain amount of money. And I looked at it today, and the minimum amount, let's say for Imperial or Fresno County, you have to make under $159,000 a year. In my county of Contra Costa, you can make up to $282,000. So it's really county dependent as to what your income cap is going to be. So as long as you make underneath that amount, you are typically open for the financing. They don't care where you come up with the money, as long as you're open to putting it into this managed escrow account and make sure that the draws are paid out the way that they should be. All of the once everything's settled and the grant has been applied, then the construction starts after that.
So in other words, it's not designed for somebody that's like a multi-millionaire and makes like $500,000 a year.
No.
It's more designed to help out somebody that makes less than a certain amount, obviously varies by county, to help them
Yes.
be able to maybe get some additional income, or maybe even add a mother in sweet law to obviously make California housing a little bit more affordable. Can you walk us through
Absolutely.
like what the application process looks like? Like, do they require like tax returns? Do they require checks? Are they looking at the income for the people that are on title, the people that are on the loan? What type of documents do they require in the application process?
If the client goes through HPP Cares, I must admit I've never been through the process myself, and it's a relatively new organization, probably within the last couple of weeks that CalHFa has partnered with them. I have been in contact with Catherine Peoples, who is the head of HPP Cares, and they do check the income. I do believe it's for the folks that are on the title of the home. They're going to want to see pay stubs, W 2s, possibly tax returns if they're self employed, or maybe they have rental income or any dividend income, anything like that. So they do check the income. That's really the only thing that they care about that qualifies the client.
And what they're looking for, at least this is what it sounds like, is they're not looking for a minimum amount of money that you make. They're looking that you don't make over a certain amount. At least that's what it
Absolutely
sounds like.
correct.
Okay. So
Absolutely
like
correct.
if
They want,
somebody doesn't
yeah.
have that much income, they're not looking at that. They're basically looking to verify that you're not like you make $500,000 and you're looking to maybe take advantage of the program. Now, this is a question that a lot of viewers are asking us. Do you have to pay the money back
Not at all.
on the grant?
Not
On
at
the grant.
not at all. The 40,000 also goes into this managed escrow account, and that is for any of the pre-development costs. So if most people kind of start by talking to a contractor or an architect. So if they've already paid some invoices, we could just submit that to get reimbursed for the grant, but that grant stays there in that managed escrow account to cover any of the pre-development or the closing costs necessary. And then if not all of the funds are used up, it can go towards principal reduction.
When you say principal reduction, what does that mean?
If you get a renovation loan, that principal reduction would go towards paying down the balance of the loan. Same thing that would happen with an equity line. I do want to also
Okay.
mention that CalHFA does change their rules on a pretty frequent basis. So you want to make sure that you've got all of the most recent guidelines moving forward.
So basically, obviously, the program is changing day by day. So by the
Yes.
time viewers get this information, it may change a little bit. So what you're saying is that they may be able to get the grant and even use it. If they don't use it for pre-development cost, they may be able to use it for principal pay down or even to build a portion of the ADU, basically, if they get a home
No.
equity line of credit, or no?
No, it's completely separate. There's the construction of the home, and then there's the pre-development. So like the before and the after. So the grant only covers the before; it doesn't cover the after.
Do you know any examples of what the pre-development costs are? I imagine
Mhm.
obviously the architect is one of them.
Yep.
City permits.
Plans, permits, and permits can be quite expensive. I've
Mhm.
spoken to many people that their permits in their county are up to $25,000. So one fellow I spoke with, the grant was going to cover pretty much just his permits and his closing costs. There's another thing that clients may be kind of hit with that they're not aware of, which is a school impact fee. So if you're building a unit that has, a little larger square footage, you have to pay some money to the county in order to help the schools along. And that can be pretty hefty as well. You've got architect. Let's say in order to build your ADU, you need to have a tree removed. It may even pay for that. And that seems a little different that you would think that would be included in the construction, but it's not. It's not from the ground up or brought in as a unit. It's in an order to clear the property in order to put the ADU on it. So that's still considered a pre-development cost.
And how long does the process take? I imagine that it's working side by side, or how long does it take for you to know whether or not you're approved for the ADU grant. And then
Hmm.
obviously the second portion would be just getting the permits, which that's obviously up to the city or the county.
Yeah.
But in terms of the app, in terms for me to know, like, yes, you're approved or no, you're not approved, any idea what that process
Yeah,
typically takes?
it depends on the route that you take. If you are going to do an equity line or you're going to self-fund it, HPP Cares, depending on their pipeline, I don't know how many applications they have at any particular day, but it's taken a couple of weeks for folks to get that approval. And once they've got that approval, that money's locked in for them. If you do a full renovation loan, we apply for the grant at the same time that we're doing your loan approval. So I'd say probably 2 weeks once again for us.
Okay. And then is it different? Meaning, if they're getting the renovation loan, do they go through you? And if they're only getting the grant, do they go through HPP Cares, or who do they contact if they do want to actually apply for this?
If you can contact me directly because I can assist you with both the equity line and the renovation
Okay.
loan, being one of the 5 lenders that HPP Cares is going to be partnering with any of the equity lines that I get for you, or cash out refinance or renovation loan, whichever you choose to do, will be approvable.
Yeah. What are some of the things that maybe like our viewers should watch out for? Like any like horror stories that you've kind of heard when applying for this? Like, do you guys have a list of approved architects, approved of people, and maybe like some mistakes that people have seen, and maybe like some tips as to what it sounds great, but what I imagine that the people you work with is the most important variable. Obviously, we know that you're reputable. Any tips as it
Mhm.
relates to that, or any maybe horror stories that you can kind of share with us?
Every contractor is vetted. They may make sure that they have all of the current licenses and current insurance and enough insurance, as well as a certain amount of assets to float the job in case they're not paid right away. And I'm married to a contractor, so I know the way that it works is that they start one job, get a little bit of a draw, and then move on to the next job. So they just want to make sure that the contractors have enough money and that they're not going to stall because they haven't gotten a draw from the managed escrow account. That's kind of the problem that we've seen in the past, and that's why there's some stop gaps put in there so that contractors can't run away with the funds. I have folks come to me in all parts of the process, whether they're just thinking about doing an ADU or they already have their plans in place and their contractor picked out. Now they just need their financing. I would say, as a tip, even if you're not going to go through HPP Cares, if you're going to have us do the grant process for you, they have an amazing webinar almost every night of the week. It's about 3 hours long. I sat through it a couple weeks ago, and it takes you from I'm thinking about buying or building an ADU all the way to the end. It
That's
addresses so
awesome.
many more factors than, I don't know how to choose an architect and I don't know how to choose a contractor, but it's a fabulous and it's free. So I would definitely suggest any of your clients to go to hppcares.org and at least take the class. Start there.
Sounds good. And then it sounds like I don't have to have a contractor prior to starting the process, but if I do and I've already paid some fees, there's a chance that I can get reimbursed for some of those fees that I've already paid. Now,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
As
Now,
long as you have
as
an
it re-
invoice, don't pay cash to anybody because we want to make sure we want to have it trackable as to who you've paid, have an invoice, have it match up, that sort of stuff so that you can get reimbursed.
what about like fees? Like if they go through HPP Cares, or if you guys help them apply for the ADU grant, are there any fees that they would have to come out of pocket? Like, is there like an application fee? Is there like a funding fee? Is there a dollar amount for HPP managing the escrow account?
No, the escrow account is going to charge a certain amount. I couldn't tell you what that is. I do believe
Uh,
it's about 1,000, but don't take me at that. HPP Cares is a nonprofit agency, and they're not going to charge you for their business. As a mortgage lender, I get paid once the job is done. We don't charge anybody up front for anything.
And then you only get paid if they do the renovation or the HELOC? At least that's what it sounds like. If you
Yes.
did the ADU grant, it's almost like you wouldn't get paid any of that money because it's the grant, basically. At least that's what it sounds like. It's only like, hey,
Yeah.
look, if they do the renovation or the equity line.
Yeah. I mean, if they're a cash paying customer, then I would just, direct them to HPP Cares and they take care of everything from there.
So basically, by coming to you, you can provide them with different options and you can run
Yes.
different scenarios, you can run different numbers, and then the customer can decide whatever is best for them and their family. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah, because equity lines are going up. The Federal Reserve is ready to raise their Fed funds rate by another 3/4 next week. Every time that happens, your equity line goes up. So we're going to be talking, sixes, mid sixes to sevens, depending on what your credit score is. So if you have a 2.5 and you have a 7, it might just make sense to do a renovation loan. We won't know until we pencil it out and take a look at it, but every time the Fed raises that rate, so is your equity line going to go up.
Yeah. So basically, by refinancing, you're reducing some of the risk and the uncertainty in the future, but also you're
Exactly.
losing that 2.5% mortgage rate. So it just has to do with, do you believe that you can repay that money back if you do the equity line of credit without
Yeah.
needing to refinance? That way you don't lose the money. Great. How can
Yep.
people get a hold of you if they saw value with this interview and maybe they want to explore that option with you and kind of
Okay.
see if this program can benefit them?
Great. My cell phone number, or excuse me, let me give you my office number. It's 925-628-7528. And my email to my team is loanladies@homebridge.com.
Fantastic. Okay, great. And for all of our viewers, this was episode number 136 of the Residual Real Estate Agent Show. We had Kathy. I can't pronounce her last name, so I'm not even going to
Zickenberg.
attempt it. Zickenberg. So I'm not even
Zickenberg.
going to. Zickenberg, yeah. So I'm not even going to attempt it. But if you have any questions about the ADU grant, she's one of the approved people with the state. And I actually found her information directly on the CalHFa website
Correct.
as well too.
Correct.
So somebody that has already been vetted. Thank you so much, Kathy. I appreciate your time, and I'm hoping that this video leads to some business for you. That way you can help some people build some ADUs.
Wonderful. Great. Thank you so much, Jose.
Thank you.